So what are you doing, Mr. Hurst?
I'm in the process of finishing my welcome back to Year 11 and Year 12. We're so excited for next Tuesday as they come back. What's Mr. White writing?
I was just putting a few notes about changes to STRADA, bit of change to morning pastoral and lockers and what you basically do when you arrive back at school. But we're looking forward to having everyone here.
So we all know at the moment that we have been very fortunate in Australia due to the good management of our government and health authorities that we haven't experienced the tsunami that other countries have. We're hopefully not going to get a second wave. Things should be under control and the school's going to be doing everything within its power to minimise any risks there may be for our students and clearly for our staff as well. As our Prime Minister said, it's time to get out from under the doona. It's time to get the country back together, and education's a very important part of that. And I'm sure most of our students, most of our staff, and certainly the mums and dads out there, you are dying for your students to be back at school. So it's going to be an exciting time for us. We've got a lot of work to do, but we'll be prepared for Tuesday. Here we are, we're still social distancing, very good. So the first thing is when you arrive at school, mums and dads, when you're dropping your kids off, you're free to come into the school grounds still, but to ensure physical distancing and to ensure that we don't have too many adults around apart from school staff, please stay in your car when you drop your students off. And in the afternoons as well, you're most welcome to park in our car park like you normally do, but again, please stay in your cars. And unfortunately, in the current situation, we really don't want too many parents on the school property. So we'll give you more information about that at a later date once that changes. Mr. White, what about buses?
And buses are running as normal from next Tuesday morning. So your normal charter bus will be at your normal stop from Tuesday morning onwards. And again, we ask that you just take your time getting onto buses, and particularly when you're getting off them. And of an afternoon, we will have the various dots on the ground, hopefully, that you can guide you to be queuing up for your buses so that you are maintaining a bit of distance as we queue onto buses. The main thing with buses is don't rush. There's absolutely no rush getting on and off buses, and just look after each other with our buses. And for students on the Ventura bus, that we know is a public bus and the school has no control over, if you don't wish to catch that bus from here, you're more than welcome to go down to Burwood Highway and catch it from there.
And the other thing about buses is the government's put out certain regulations in terms of hygiene for buses. So Crown Coaches, our charter bus company, they'll ensure that those hygiene processes are in place. And similar, we'll do the same with our own college buses here. So we'll try and maximise public safety from that hygiene perspective as well.
And the only thing we ask of students is they leave the seats behind the drivers. That's the only regulation that's been put in place for all buses, that the seat behind the driver on both sides is kept vacant during the trip. But Crown are using the same bus for the same runs with the same drivers every day.
Action.
And notice we've just come in two doors. We're social distancing. Students, as soon as you get to school, one of the things we want you to do to avoid crowding is to go to your lockers. If the bell hasn't gone in the morning, that's fine. So let's head down to the lockers, and Mr. White will explain a few things about morning pastoral and what we would do.
Next Tuesday morning there'll be morning pastoral. So that'll be normal pastoral at 8:35. So your pastoral teachers can welcome you back to school. But after that there won't be morning pastoral. So we ask that during your pastoral time you use that time to go to your lockers and to continue to check in online with your pastoral teachers.
And we'll see what happens with our Year 11s and 12s with that process. Once all the students are back, we've got 1,100 at this campus. It might be slightly different, but for the next 2 weeks, obviously when we get to our locker areas, try not to crowd them. If you see a big group there, just wait. There will be a little bit of staggering at the start of recess, end of recess, lunchtime, etc. But it's really up to you students. Social distancing, physical distancing, they should all be now experts. We've been in lockdown restrictions now for a number of weeks, so it should almost be second nature to you.
So we're asking that while we're here at school, we're going to leave all doors open, which is different from what we normally do. Normally we would close them in between periods and at recess and lunch. But just so we can limit the amount of communal handling of doors, we'd actually like all doors all day to stay open. Hello, Mr. Hurst.
Hi, Mr. White, fancy seeing you. So once you're in the classrooms, this is what we're going to have our typical classroom set up. It's much different to what we would normally have. So we're spaced the tables and chairs out. Two reasons for that: clearly physical and social distancing, and also it's just a reminder to all students in the school that we are in this particular situation, and we do need to be reminded, even though we're back at school, we need to do everything in our power to just keep a little bit of distance from each other, and particularly from our teachers as well. So it's not going to be the best classroom layout for collaborative learning, but from a COVID-19 perspective, certainly it should maximise student and staff safety as well.
Ding ding, the bell's just gone for recess. So we're not going to use this door because with the Galilee Centre and the SLC, we want the middle door in the Galilee Centre and the downstairs door in the SLC to be one way only. So we're going to come in those doors, and when you leave Galilee, Mr. Hurst and I are going to enter via the two end doors, and with the SLC, we want students to enter via the middle doors downstairs or the end door towards the soccer pitch.
Let's go and get some food at STRADA, Mr. White.
STRADA will be fantastic. I ordered my food, Mr. Hurst.
You ordered your food?
I did. That's what we're going to do for the next couple of weeks.
And that'll reduce any long queues. You can just...
Absolutely, because we don't want everyone queuing up at the Baie Marie for hot food. So we're going to ask all students, senior students, over the next 2 weeks to order their food. So there won't be hot food available to purchase at lunchtime, but you can order your food when you arrive at school in the morning or by the end of recess.
And here we are at the STRADA. We're at the ordering window rather than our normal internal area. And here is our school nurse, as we know, Mrs. Slattery. Now, very opportunistic she is here. If you are sick, Mrs. Slattery, what is going to happen?
If you're sick, you're going to go home.
And if you're sick, you shouldn't be here to start with. So any staff member or any student, if you are feeling unwell, don't come. Otherwise, one of our lovely school nurses will look after you for about 2 minutes.
And then you'll be sent home.
That's right. It's just too risky to have any sick people on campus. So very clear message for us all.
Sorry, Mr. Hurst, can you just stand on the cross there, please? So we have our crosses here for a reason, so that when we're queuing up, and as I said about hot food here at the STRADA, you'll collect it from this window. So you won't go inside the STRADA to collect your lunches. So over the next 2 weeks for year 11 and 12, come to the window, collect your lunch that you have ordered at the beginning of the day or by the end of recess. And then if you wish to get a drink or something else from the STRADA, you'll go in the normal doors. But again, you'll socially distance and there'll be markings on the floor. So if we all stick to those, we all look after each other and keep each other safe. So I've just picked up my lunch round at the window. So again, all lunch orders will be picked up from the window, but this door here into La Strada will be open at all times. So if you wish to come in and get a drink, etc., you're more than welcome to do so. But there won't be any hot food available for the first 2 weeks. And then we'll see how that goes in terms of what we put in place for when the whole school returns on June the 9th.
This will remain closed. Most of the other areas where we've got big groups of students, that'll remain closed. There won't be access to things like lecture theatres, other assembly areas. The government's pretty clear at the moment, until we ease restrictions, there's no large student gatherings or staff gatherings. So it will only be normal classes together, no big groups.
And as people move around the school and move through corridors, we just ask people to use their common sense. So if you see a large gathering, just wait a moment until that gathering disperses and then make your way through. We don't want anyone having to go from A to B, but force their way through a crowd. So we just need to look, as I said before, look after each other, take our time, move around the best way possible, and then everything will be fine. Please note the crosses on the ground.
So, in the library, same sort of thing as classrooms, keep your distance from each other, etc. There will probably be, when you go around the school, you'll probably notice they're not here yet, but we have some perspex screens which will be in places like libraries, La Strada, student services, front reception. And we've got all this information here. It's about 9 pages about changes to cleaning regimes in school. There will be extra cleaning at night, and importantly, there'll be cleaning during the day. So high touch surface, high student and staff access areas, they'll all be cleaned very regularly to try and minimise germs, viruses, etc. So please be aware that is a big change, and the school will never have been cleaner.
So for year 10 students that are coming in to do a VC subject, you are welcome if you need to be here before your subject and have a room or some space in which to study and work. The library is available. We'll also have a room each day as a study room for year 10 students. Same at the end of the day. So if you do your class and you have to wait for buses, at the end of the day, library or the study room will be available to you for year 10 students that need to come in over the next 2 weeks for their VC subject.
So here we are, we're at our wonderful drinking fountains. We've got a few of these. The top ones for hygiene purposes can't necessarily be used, but this is very important. Mr. White, what do we use that for?
This is for our water bottles. So we're asking everyone to bring a water bottle to school so that you don't have to use the fountains at the top, as we've said, but these are available to fill a water bottle, which I'll do right now. Of course, it is your water bottle. We don't share water bottles. So as much as we want to look after each other, that's one thing that we say don't do. Okay, your own water bottle is for you.
Here we are on the netball tennis court area. It's quite empty. It's a pretty cool Wednesday morning. Mr. White, what's going to happen with our yard and playground areas for students?
So over the next 2 weeks, Year 11 and 12s have got the whole school to use for their social areas, except the top oval. We don't want anyone up on the top oval during the next 2 weeks. And when you're playing games, etc., the restrictions we have to comply by is that whatever group of students you are playing with can be no more than 10 of you in any one activity. So can 10 students play on the hoop over here? Can 10 students play on the hoop over here? Yes, they can. But we can't have 20 students on the one hoop. So if you look after that, and you again use common sense, and for those students who like to play down ball, your courts are available and there is no restrictions provided. There's not more than 10 on any court. Down ball is totally fine.
See you again. Now, Mr. White, what's going to happen with our Year 11 and 12 students and even our Year 10 students with the flexibility they've got for that first couple of weeks until the whole school is back?
So for the first couple of weeks, students with study periods in the morning, so if you have a double study, period 1 and 2, or a double study in the afternoon, periods 5 and 6, we ask that you don't come in until recess, if that works for you, in the mornings, and that you are free to go home at lunchtime, if you have a double study in the afternoon. Of course, study periods 3 and 4, will be the classrooms that we will advise as the 2 weeks go on.
And the other good news is that Wednesday afternoon, there's no sport at the moment, so from start of lunch every Wednesday, all Year 11 and 12 students are most welcome to go home, and any Year 10, of course, who's here for a Unit 1 and 2. So buses will be organised, apart from our Ventura bus.
Yep, so all buses will be departing here at 1 o'clock on the next 2 Wednesdays.
And action. So we've talked about cleaning around the school being enhanced. The other one, of course, are some of the things which we were familiar with before we went into lockdown, and that's all the basic cleaning products for our students and staff. So I've got hand sanitisers, I've got ample supply of rubber gloves,
Wipes, heaps of wipes.
So again, it's about students, it's about staff working together, and our lovely school nurse, Mrs. Slattery, and other school nurses, Mrs. Keane, to make sure that we have, from a sanitation perspective, maximum impact to make sure that we're all safe as we come back to school.
And you'll also see cleaners around the school during the day, which normally you wouldn't. It'd normally be after hours, so please be polite, say hello to them, because they're all working with us to look after everyone.
So, as we said at the start of the video, it's back to normal, whatever the new normal is. We are really looking forward to having our Year 11 and 12 students back, and some of those Year 10 students who are doing Unit 1, 2. It's going to be different. Mr. White's been through a lot of information for you. It's a bit of trial and error, but our two main focuses are, one, the safety of staff and students, and secondly, making sure that we continue that face-to-face learning. Mr. White.
So if we follow everything we've suggested, if we look after each other, if we give ourselves space when we're walking, if we take our time, but importantly, if you're not sure of something, please ask your pastoral teacher, house leader, or any one of the staff. We will make sure that, as Mr. Hurst said, whatever normal is will be as normal as possible back here at school. And then over the next 2 weeks, we will then give you more information about the start of Year 7 to 10s when the whole school is back on June 9.
See you on Tuesday.
Looking forward to it.